Alright, so episode 5, Blood Hive. This is our Halloween episode. And... okay, so I think the first thing people are going to take from this episode is that we have confirmation that it's supernatural. Not 100% sold
really?
yet. Not 100, but more than likely.
What's making
I'm going to go 90%.
What's the 10% of skepticism?
So, the coach's drink was drugged, potentially, right?
It was.
Right.
Misty drugged him.
Well, she said she put something in, but she likes him.
Yeah.
She said for sure that it was drugged?
Well, I don't think she, completely said for sure, but, that interaction, he was like, what did you put in my drink? Why did you
It was a bizarre interaction because it went from him accusing her to her being like, I like you, and then him being like, I like you too. But let's not tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, where did that accusation go? If she was just like, yeah, I poisoned you, he'd be like, I don't think I like you anymore.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. So, but I don't think that him, vomiting was necessarily part of the, supernatural, element. But I guess I see what you mean. I suppose...
Lottie's losing her mind.
Yeah, if you're taking the devil's advocate, she's the one that's not on her medication. They're having a seance, so she's already in the mindset of something spooky is going to happen. But, the way that scene is shot with the, she turns around, sees something through the window, and it opens right then and there.
And that's definitely the best evidence that it is. And she starts speaking in French.
And she starts speaking fluent French because she already was in French class, but she was shit at it, according to Jackie. But, so both of those things, although I guess arguably... she's taking French lessons, she could have been better than she was letting on. So there's that possibility. But Taissa also sees the eyeless person.
Yeah, but this is once she's an adult. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we have to remember, though, that Lottie is already acting bizarre before this episode, and even before this within the episode. She's standing out in the water. Mm-hmm. She's like... Jackie comes down. I think it was Jackie. Was it Jackie?
No, it was Shauna.
Shauna?
Oh, no, wait, yeah, it was Jackie, you're right. She's going down to fetch the water.
Doesn't really matter who it is.
It's Jackie.
It's Jackie. But I think she says, aren't you cold? Meaning, you're standing in the water, you're cold. And she's like, yes, but I thought the water would warm me up. But she was acting weird as hell right there.
Yes.
So now... Shauna, okay, let's start at the beginning because I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
So it starts with a dance scene, which I was not expecting. Mm-hmm. When the dance scene happened, I thought that this was a flashback. I thought this was before the plane went down and they were partying together. And then I started looking around. I'm like, wait, this is after they had crashed. It was probably because the music that was in the bucket that's supposed to be echoing louder was so loud. Obviously this is... been put in to just sound like a normal song for us, but in the room it would sound like shit. But it just threw me for a second, and then I was like, oh wow, they're just trying to make the best of it, right? They're trying to keep their spirits up. I get that,
but they're just teenage girls in general, they're kids still. So.
Well, they were not having that much of a good time. Any of the other episodes, and then just this one, it starts on this high, punchy, they're all dancing together, kind of thing. So it's good to see them trying to have good spirits here, but that's up until they potentially run into bad spirits.
Yes.
that their good spirits seem to be gone. And then we get the Misty trying to grab a boner of the coach.
Yep, that happens.
Yeah. I can definitely tell you the biggest surprise of this episode to me is when the coach tells her that he also is into her. Because he is not showing that at all up until that moment.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But as he says, you're under 18. I don't want anyone else knowing this. I don't know though. I almost feel like he's telling her that so she won't.
Yeah, so she won't fuck with them.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm totally in love with you, but we can't fuck because you're under 18.
Right, and don't tell anybody else because they'll be jealous. Yeah, I was kind of a little suspicious of his honesty when he admitted to having feelings for her as well. And I do think that it's possible that he was lying, like we said, so that she wouldn't, mess with him or do anything crazy. Because obviously, if he thinks she put something in his drink, whatever it is, like, he's kind of, at her mercy right now. She's the one that's primarily taking care of him, and I'm sure that, she kicks him down, right? Like in another episode. So she's already done things, and she cut his leg off without really talking to him about it. Although, that was probably a good decision considering the state his leg was in. But all those things, like, it's
kindergarten
really in
flirting.
Control of his life. Yeah, right.
It's kindergarten flirting.
I don't like you. Punch.
Yeah.
Stab. Shoot.
No shooting. Poisoning.
Poison.
Yeah, poison. But yeah, I think this goes back to what we were saying about the whole, like, did you poison me? Ooh, I have feelings for you. And he's like, okay, well, I have feelings for you too, so don't poison me anymore.
Yeah.
That would definitely make sense. And he kind of has the cop-out of like, well, I can't fuck you, and we can't do anything about it. And let's keep this our secret because you're underage. Mm-hmm. And it's like, in all reality, this dude's missing his leg. He knows that their days are probably numbered. If he was really into this girl, and they're out in the fucking wilderness, and he thinks they're probably never going to get found, he'd totally be like, I don't give a shit, let's fuck.
Yeah, but this is still, I'm not sure the amount of time that's passed since they've crashed to this episode.
Enough for their periods to sink.
Right, so it's at least a couple weeks, I think. There was somebody that said...
Can someone Google, or can you Google how long it takes for girls' periods to sink? Because I thought that took a while. I thought that took months.
What I was going to say, though, as far as the timeline goes, is that I don't think that they've been there long enough for, like, him to just throw away the expectations that are placed on him from society. Like, I don't think that he's at that point of desperation where if he actually did care about her in some way that he would just be like, all right, let's do it. Like, I've got nothing to lose. I think there's still a lot of hope that they're going to be rescued. And, now, like, them celebrating in the opening, or not celebrating, but kind of, having fun. They have shelter. They have, like, a steady source of food. They've got water. So they're in, like, as good a spot as they can be being stranded, How long does it take?
I'm listening. I'm just trying to find it.
To sync their periods.
Can periods actually sync up? No. Women do not get matching menstrual cycles if they spend too much time together. I've always been told the idea, blah, blah, blah. It says, by chance alone, one would expect two women to be about 7 days apart, half of 14 days. Given that menstruation can last 5 days, overlapping periods are a common occurrence. That women synchronize to each other, however, is a myth.
Interesting. I wonder...
Oh man, I always thought this was true.
Well, I did too, because anytime I've, been around another, like, woman, like, especially sharing a space with her, it's always, like, synced up. Like, we have always been, like, on the same cycle. Maybe give or take, like, a day or two, but, like...
I call it bullshit. I call it bullshit that that's a myth.
They've been there long enough, though, that they're, it's a couple weeks, maybe a month, right? Is about how long they've been there.
Have any girls out there synced up with their friends? Like, you guys were nowhere near each other, and then all of a sudden you're, like, right on top of each other?
Yeah.
Not like sexually.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sure tons of people have had that happen.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit that that's a myth.
I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people. Everyone that I know has had it happen to them, too.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the coach would, yeah. I mean, if they've only been out there a short amount of time, once they've been out there that, like, a year, though...
That's what I mean.
For sure, he'd be like, I don't give a fuck anymore.
Sure, but this...
rules are different now.
Right, but right now, like I was saying, there's still hope that they're going to be rescued, and I don't think anyone's trying to do... I mean, Shauna's pregnant in this episode. This is also a huge... not a huge revelation, you guessed it. And it's, obviously very likely that it would happen. But anyway, she's going to give birth, right? But she's not telling anybody yet, because there's still this hope of, like, we're going to get rescued. So, right, so she could have an abortion.
I just thought of something, though.
What?
So, this episode is all about blood sacrifices, right? This is the blood hive, fucking spill blood for me. This girl's calling out for, blood to be spilled. So, you think Shauna's baby gets sacrificed to this thing, whatever it is? I mean, where's that baby? The only reason I guessed that she was pregnant here was purely by accident, because I think of the timeline being correct, right? I thought she was pregnant with the daughter that she currently has. And then I was like, wait, that doesn't work. 19 months. And then she wouldn't have been out there. She'd be too old. Never mind. It was like a quick little fuck up I had. So I technically called it, but not really. That was a total fuck up that I happened to just get right. Now, as far as this whole like, okay, so should we get ahead of ourselves here? I'm trying to stay on track. We'll get back to that because it's all about like blood sacrifices and whatnot. Lottie does that. We're going to talk about Lottie acting like weirdo. Jackie thinks Shauna's a straight up virgin, which I think we know this in the first episode. I think she's talking to her about it. Yes. And I think she's kind of like, what's it like? Or like, oh, wait till you're doing this or whatever. So, yeah, the fact that she doesn't think she's ever had sex at all, not let alone with her boyfriend, but ever, is just lying on all sorts of levels, right? It's like, I'm lying about being a virgin, and I'm lying about fucking your boyfriend. That's like double screwed up.
Trouble.
And you noticed I was writing notes at this moment, but you said that Natalie, in the future or the present, I guess, is watching a UFO show.
Yeah, she is.
I definitely don't think that this is going in that direction, but it is interesting that she's watching that since, you know, who the hell knows what's going on out there, but UFOs, maybe that's a little subtle hint that there's something alien abduction stuff going on. I highly doubt that one.
Where
but maybe.
The show that she's watching, I'm pretty sure, is talking about UFOs over like Seattle, Washington, and like hotspots in Washington State.
Do you imagine the area they're in? If they finally like pan
and
up
and
shape? It's like a shape, like a crop circle.
Yeah, like trees. That symbol. Yeah. But I just don't remember where they crash, like where they're headed to and
Canada?
When they crash. So if that's the case, then maybe it is over Washington. Maybe they do crash somewhere. I mean, they're in the mountains, and the Rockies go all the way up from, Colorado and into, right? They go through. Do they go through Washington? Maybe they don't, actually. I don't know geography. Anyway, there could be some. Obviously, there's mountains in Washington State, so that would be really cool if they actually crashed in Washington, and then she's watching a show about UFOs in Washington. So maybe it is a hint. I don't know, but
it's very. I mean, yeah, it's a quick, subtle one, and it'd be a good catch if it does have anything to do with that. But yeah, I mean, the crop circle idea of up in the trees, look up, and that symbol's over the thing, almost like that Blair Witch teaser.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool.
And so Shauna's faking her period so that she can, not get any eyes on her about, especially, I mean, her friend's gonna find out she's lying about having sex, which is gonna immediately make it suspicious of like, why are you lying to me?
Yes.
Like, what is it you're trying to keep from me? We tell each other everything, but you're gonna lie to me about this?
Yeah.
So it's like, who are you fucking? And then she's gonna have to lie about that. And Jackie, I don't know. She's just gonna be like, she'll lie to her, but she'll probably become suspicious of some sort. But someone knows. Taissa knows.
Taissa does know.
She figures it out pretty easy. And then we have Taissa sees a wolf outside. This is not the first time she's seen an animal that wasn't there. Right. She saw a deer head on that platter. Right? She sees animals. And then when she chases it, she comes upon her door, which has the word spill written in red paint. And that red paint she finds under Sammy's bed. And hilariously, Sammy is dressed like a Sammy. Little sandwich.
Halloween costume.
Yeah. Sammy the sandwich. But she's trying to put that away. And she finds the paint. And this is when she confronts him. To which he replies, it was the bad one. Here we go again with that one. The woman in the trees. And then gets really pissed, knocks shit over, and walks away. So, who's the bad one? What are we thinking about this Again,
last time we talked about it maybe being her and not remembering what she's doing, which I think is interesting. But especially with how this episode goes, I'm feeling very much that it will be some kind of supernatural thing. And so I think it's possible that it's some entity. But I was going to say, I really like that spill written on her door. It's both like a callback to what happened that night in the cabin, spilling blood, but it's also like spill your story.
Sure.
So I think that's cool because it seems like whoever's contacting them, like they want them to talk about what happened. And so.
Well, and they're all, also spilling blood in the episode. Mm-hmm. They're all on their periods together. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, this episode's all about spill. I mean, that's what it says on the wall, and then you get the, we need you to spill the blood. They're all on their periods. People ever want all their information, spill the goods. Mm-hmm. I mean, it has all sorts of different meanings. But, I was going to say something.
The Taissa and the bad one. Did you have that?
Oh, yes. So, the girl in the tree, I am definitely convinced, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, that there is a survivor that they don't know survived. She might be possessed, right? She might, this entity has taken possession of one of them and survived, took over one of their bodies after death even. I mean, who knows? But I believe that the woman in the tree outside of Sammy's bedroom is one of the girls. I think it's one of the girls that they don't know has survived. And I think the most obvious choices is either Lottie or Jackie. I mean, these are the two most main suspects of who they could be. You'd have Jackie, who wants revenge for her stealing her boyfriend and getting her pregnant, or getting pregnant, all that shit. And then you got Lottie, who's very susceptible to being possessed, as she is in this episode, potentially.
Well, or it could be Taissa's girlfriend as well. We thought the redhead, I forget her name.
Sure, I don't remember her
name. But in this episode, Jackie gets the necklace again.
Yep.
From Shauna. So I'm not too... I mean, we think that it's going to be passed around to different people, maybe, which I think is, a possibility. But if not, then she might be one of, the person that dies in the opening scene.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I like the idea of it being a survivor in the trees and just a survivor in general that's trying to contact them and do all this stuff. But I also really like that it could be an alien demon.
Yeah, I don't know. I just definitely feel like there's a survivor that I bet almost anything at this point that there is, and I said this before, there's at least one person still alive that's out there that knows their secrets, that has come back. Now, whether or not they're possessed or whether or not they just want revenge or whatever, I'm all but convinced that there's someone still around. There's a lot of speculation that Adam is actually Travis's little brother. Mm-hmm. This to me seems a little far-fetched only because, and this is only because of reality and not television movie convenience. Right, like it's been a while, sure, but she lived with these people in close proximity for almost 2 years. You get to know people very well in those kinds of situations. I just don't buy that she wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah,
right?
maybe
I just
not,
don't
though.
buy it.
People, I mean, if it had been years since you'd ever talked to him or seen him and didn't keep in contact and know what he looked like, I think it's possible that she could maybe not recognize him.
If I saw anybody that I knew from high school that I spent years around, not just people like I went to high school with and I passed in the halls. No. Like BFFs that I was hanging out with all the time, like she's living with these fucking people. And they were to come to me now, I haven't seen some of them in 20 years, 100% I would immediately recognize them.
I mean, he is younger than the rest of them are, so there's, it's
How
not like...
much younger?
He looks like he's
question.
maybe 13, 14 maybe, at the oldest.
No, I know, but...
But how old he is now, you mean?
Yeah, so in this, he's clearly younger than
Yes.
she is. Is he that much younger than he is relative to her when they're younger?
I mean, maybe. I guess it would only be a couple years.
It
really,
seems like the
right?
kid is like...
Unless he's like 10.
No.
But I think that's
he's
a
like
bit
12,
too
he's
young.
like
He's
13,
11, 12, 13.
and they're like ranging between
16.
15 and 18, somewhere in that area. So he's a few years.
My point with that is just that, you know, he obviously hasn't gone through like all of puberty yet. And guys can, you know, girls can too, but like you can look pretty different, especially when you have facial hair and are just older in general. So I like the idea of it being him because of the scene when she's writing in her journal and he comes over and asks what she's doing and she gives him the paper from her journal to write, because I think that, you know, shows there's some kind of connection. So I could see, you know, him now older still having maybe some type of feeling for her, or feeling, you know, just a connection. And that's kind of part of why he's dating her now. But I'm not 100% sold on that idea either.
Right.
I think it's a pretty solid theory, though. I think it's an interesting one, too.
I definitely am still extremely suspicious of him.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And think he is potentially a plant by somebody who has, you know, asked him to do it. Whether it's like somebody's like younger brother or something, you know, I could definitely see that. And her daughter has seen him now, so there's no like, oh, she's hanging out by herself, you know, because there was a lot of speculation that, I shouldn't say a lot, but there was speculation that Taissa's wife didn't exist, but I think we can nip that in the bud at this point. I think she's had enough interaction now that that's not a thing. But that would have been interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see that being a thing now. But yeah, Adam, definitely suspicious of him. Don't trust him at all. Everything's too convenient with him. And I could definitely see him being connected to the overall picture here in a negative way.
Yes, me too.
We'll see what happens with him. And Jackie isn't helping around the place, which could definitely mark her as like useless, right? Like when they start saying, who's going to be the person to sacrifice? We've got to sacrifice somebody. People are going to start turning on Jackie and be like, she helps the least.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's a second option, which would make even more sense. The coach, who can't help. Right? And really is kind of a burden to all of them. He's not really doing anything but sitting there. And so you've got Shauna, who loves Jackie and wants to protect her, especially since she thinks she would be carrying the child of their boyfriend, so she has a lot of guilt. She'd want to protect her. But now you've got Misty, who we know is like in charge of this death cult that's sacrificing people to appease the gods. Whatever the fuck is happening. She's going to want to protect Coach with every being of her fiber. So she's going to be like, oh no, we need him. I'm just speculating here wildly, of course, but I'm thinking that, I'm trying to think of who would be, you know, up on the chopping block when they do decide we got to start sacrificing people to this thing to survive. You know, these things have happened. We'll probably have something happen in the next episode that shows us like, you've got to kill, because it said like basically spill blood or else, and it was like, or else what? Right. And it's like when one of them gets sick or something happens, you know, somebody dies or some, you know, whatever the fuck, they're gonna have to be like, who's the first to go?
Yeah, the superstitious, nature's gonna take over for sure. And I actually really like your idea that Shauna might sacrifice her baby, because I think we were talking in another episode about, you know, thinking it was the daughter that was, you know, born there, but it doesn't make sense with her age and how much time has passed. So she lost a baby somehow.
Sure.
And, you know, if they're there 19 months, like she had it. And so I think it makes a lot of sense that they would sacrifice it, because it's going to be like, well, we can't take care of a baby out here.
I mean, people took care of babies out in the wilderness forever.
I know, but I just...
You could.
Like, I think that might be part of it, but I like that idea a lot.
Yeah.
That she's going to sacrifice her baby.
I don't think she'll do it. I think other people will do it.
Force her to.
Now will this show go hard enough that they'll fucking legitimately murder and sacrifice a baby? That's always a question too, right? We're not just talking about storytelling here. We're talking about the filmmakers, the studio, everybody being like okay with them straight up murdering a baby for a sacrificial thing in a show. Maybe. I'm not saying it's not possible. They'll definitely do it. I mean, Game of Thrones, they definitely did some really fucked up shit, burned that little kid and everything. So yeah, I mean, it definitely could happen. I'm always skeptical on kids' deaths, especially babies. Shows typically don't have the balls to do that. But yeah, I mean, if they took her baby and like ran off and fucking like sacrificed it to this thing, that would be wild and definitely would add to the horror of this show for sure. And all right, moving on. So they meet this guy, which they pour gasoline on his dick. This is Natalie and Misty. And he's some hacker guy that's getting the files on him, on Travis's death. Kevin was going to do it, but couldn't, whatever. Doesn't matter. They get a hold of it. Yeah. And the guy says he wants in on it. That's why they're meeting, because he looked into it. And the stiff that he was investigating doesn't exist. Now, we know that Travis went on the run and changed his name, maybe. I don't remember if that was for sure, but I'm pretty sure he like became a recluse and like, disappeared.
He didn't want any of the attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he definitely tried to kind of erase his existence. So it could be that he can't find any record.
It's odd that he says this. This
identity.
Just to me sounds like a little bit of a like speculation, like thing you're supposed to be speculating on. Like, what does that mean?
Of course,
that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's either, I don't know if it is a police cover-up or anything like that. I think that would be pretty, like, a very big venture, but maybe. I think it's more likely that he, had kind of false identities to hide his trail. So he's like, the hacker guy's like, oh, this is going to be good. Like, it's, a lot for me to uncover type of a thing. Because the reason he knows Misty is that they're in, like, an online sleuth group. So... Right. He would be super into it, right? So, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, if you want to get a guy to listen to you, threaten to light his dick on fire. And
it's a good tactic.
He's going to give up his info real quick. So, Shauna's daughter is high at a party. She's on ecstasy. And she catches her mom with Adam.
Yeah.
And they kind of have a little bit of a bonding moment. We find out that she is wearing Jackie's Yellowjackets costume uniform.
Yeah.
And there's blood on the collar, which is kind of morbid, but I guess she just thought it was her mom's. But if your mom had like a uniform that she crashed a plane in from the most horrendous part of her life, and there was blood on it, would you like throw it on for Halloween and like take off in it? Like, no. That's a really weird choice. That all being said, it's interesting that she sees Jackie because it is Jackie's outfit, right? I get that. But it's, I don't know. I know that her daughter's drugged up, but the fact that she sees her and this is really the only time her daughter's nice to her. Now, ecstasy makes you a little more friendly, right? It just made me wonder if there's any connection to Jackie in that outfit that's like leeching into her daughter a little bit if we're dealing with like supernatural possession.
Maybe, yeah. I think it would be a cool idea, and I think it's possible.
I mean, her blood is on it, right?
Right.
And it's her possession.
Yeah, and obviously Jackie and Shauna were, very close, and the way that her daughter is talking to her does sound like how Jackie would talk to her. Kind of compassionately and kindly.
And she basically sees her ghost.
Very different. And she sees her ghost. Now, I mean, I do think she's seeing Jackie because she's seeing the Yellowjackets uniform and is like, recognizing it, right? And sure. Obviously her daughter is the same age that Jackie would have been, and all those factors. But it's the only time that we've seen Shauna's daughter be like a human towards her. The rest of the time she's a bitch. I mean, like, you know, the conversation that they have at the end of the episode, she's very much like her mom. You know, she's trying to manipulate and blackmail and like get what she wants, and you know, Shauna is that way too, you know, to an extent. Like, she likes to play with people, not as much as Misty does, but like she definitely is pretty fucked up when it comes to that.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Shauna's definitely a pretty shit person. From everything that we've seen from her. Misty's worse. But
Misty's worse for sure.
Shauna's not far behind.
No.
I mean, she's definitely done some pretty terrible things here. But yeah, she tries to blackmail her mom. Big mistake. It's like, you know what this chick's been through? You're really going to threaten her?
Yeah.
Like, good luck with that, right? Your mom ain't afraid of you. Okay? After what she's went through, please. But she just flips so hard. She wakes up and she's such a bitch to her. And I said, like, when she came up on her in the party, I was like, oh, she's going to use this as blackmail. And then she was, like, nice to her. And I was like, oh, maybe they're just going to bond over this. And then she woke up and it was blackmail. And I was like, just took a little while. Just had to have the drugs wear off. Or the possession or the ghost to leave her system. I don't know. Either way. Yeah, I noticed that now it isn't exactly the same pattern, but Misty's shirt in this looks very similar to the shining rug pattern or carpet pattern. I just had to point that out. I thought that this said Taissa pooping. And I didn't know what the hell I had written
pooping.
there.
No pooping.
Yeah. I said dropping. I don't know. I don't got anything for that one. Dropping? Not sure. Yeah. And we get Natalie and Travis's first kiss here.
Yep.
And we get a little flash forward of their romantic relationship post rescue. So they definitely were pretty close all the way up until the end. So this I feel like this is here to give us like the driving force behind why she's so into trying to figure this out, because she was in love with him.
Right, and she's, you know, very adamant that he didn't believe in any of that stuff, as she says.
Yes.
So he's not, you know, a believer of the paranormal.
Which is odd to me. I think we should talk about that, because Travis was out there. Natalie is saying that he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. So what does this mean exactly? If this shit is straight up supernatural, like they're all dealing with full-blown supernatural at some point on. Like this show's going to get to a point where there's no denying that this is full-blown possession, this and that. Why the fuck is Travis somebody that's still like, not a believer?
Well, if it's not full-blown, like if it is subtle, I mean, what happened in the attic is something that you could explain with, you know, trauma, mental illness, and you know,
a gust of wind.
Group mentality, right? So all of that can definitely be explained, but it could also potentially be something paranormal. So if it is kind of going to walk the line between like maybe it's this and maybe it's not, I definitely could see him not believing in it. And you know, there's also like belief makes things real to an extent, right? So like if all of them are believing that it's paranormal, it will feel paranormal to them, and that's how they're going to experience, you know, the situation. But to somebody who doesn't think that way, you know, they'll be logical about it and rational, and I definitely think that's him in this case. Whether or not it affects you, whether or not it affects you if you believe in it or not, like that's a different question, right? Like,
sure. So this is what makes me think that we're never going to get a clear-cut answer in this show, in the flashbacks of just straight up, we're seeing supernatural outright with everybody. Now, people like, and we also have that unreliable narrator kind of thing going on here with certain characters, right? Taissa feels compromised to me because she's seeing this man with no eyes. She sees him again in this episode, as you pointed out. I was trying to get a good look at him, see if it looked like anybody, but no one I recognized outside of obviously when she saw him earlier in a different episode. And then we can't really trust anything Lottie sees, of course. She's the least reliable person to go off of what she's seeing, what she's saying, anything. She's fucking loopy, man. She's gone. She's only going to get worse. Yeah. So she could be another person up on the auction block, right? Like, Lottie's crazy. Jaggy doesn't help. And the coach is, useless because he has no leg. So there's 3 candidates right there for sacrificial lamb. So yeah, I just don't see. We're not going to see like demons chasing them around and whatever, unless, because as I was going to try to say, like, we might have people who see things outright. Now, whether or not we're going to question their sanity or what they saw, or is this a dream or whatever, we'll see. But it's never present enough, or Travis is just straight up in full blown denial.
Sure.
But they have a seance. They light candles all around, and then Misty figures out by putting all these freaking pictures together of the crime scene where Travis died, that someone was burning candles in the shape of this, whatever the hell this damn thing is at this point. I don't know what it is. It's some Blair Witch symbol looking thing. Looks like more of a like girl's bathroom fucking little circle with the dress.
Yeah. Like abstract version.
Yeah.
I think it's also a possibility that they might take some type of hallucinogen, which would make it, seem a lot more real than it really
Misty's fucking poisoning them all with hallucinogens.
When they're like scavenging earlier, somebody's like, "Don't eat those mushrooms," and they're like, "Are they the
berries?" I
thought they were mushrooms.
There's a berry scene where someone's gonna eat berries, and they're like, "Don't eat that."
Right, but then
that might have been
they're
a
like,
movie we watched.
The person asks, "Are they the like kill you kind or the like trip balls?"
That's
kind?
That's the
Maybe
redhead we can't.
Right. I thought that was mushrooms though in this, but
that is the mushrooms.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, so I think that's if it obviously psychedelic mushrooms, you can find them out in the wild. A lot of you do need to be able to identify them pretty well because you could die. But I think that maybe that could be something that happens where they are eating some type of plant and they start to hallucinate and don't quite realize that that's what's going on. I don't really know what Misty puts into the coach's tea.
No idea.
So
maybe with some of those mushrooms.
Right. That's what I'm wondering, if there will be anything that happens with that in the next episode.
The berries thing is actually from Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous.
Oh.
When they get to the new island in season 4.
Okay.
My kids and I just watched season 4 together, and they get there and they're picking berries. It's kids lost in the wilderness.
So you're like
blending them together.
And Jurassic.
Yes, you're right. It's just mushrooms in this one, and yeah, I could see Misty taking those and poisoning him for whatever reason. As I said, it is very bizarre that she's like being accused, and then he's like, "I want to fuck you."
We can't.
Yeah, but we can't. We gotta wait. What's he gonna say when it's her 18th birthday? Because there'll be 19 months out there. She's got to be 17 at least, right? Well, not at least. I mean, she's under 18. She says she is. Then she's gonna be like,
"It's time.
It's time. Get that dick out." He's gonna be like, "Oh, but I'm actually married." Let's see. And okay, so a couple things here. They have this seance. They're using this knife. It's swinging around, and they have like a little Ouija, according to the Witchboard movies, whichever version you want. I grew up on Ouija. You're a Ouija person, right? Ouija person, yeah. So they make this Ouija board down on there, and it has different symbols. I think it has letters. I don't know. Yes and no, and then there's an infinity symbol. So they ask it a couple different questions, and one of them is Misty saying, "Does the person I like me?" And it says yes. Then moments later, the coach is revealing that he does in fact like her. So it would line up that the spirit was correct, that the coach does like her, but if the coach doesn't like her and is lying to her to keep her at bay so she won't fucking harm him or maybe protect him in whatever his desire is with that, then the ghost was wrong, if the ghost exists at all, or the spirit, or the demon, or the alien, or whatever the fuck. So we got that, which I was like, oh, well, look, the spirit was correct. You know, he does like her, but does he? I don't know. Another thing that is asked is, of course, Travis's little brother says, are we all going to die? Bummer, downer of a question, little bro. To which the spirit responds with the infinity symbol. So what does this mean? That's a really interesting one for me, because I was sitting there like, infinity? Like, is it going to be looping on itself? Like, are we going to deal with time loops here? I don't see that happening, but after the infinity thing, I am super confused.
I don't think they write anything down. The way the pendulum works is that if it swings like this, it's a no, and then it goes in a circle for yes, and it was then swinging like that.
I thought there was little holes in the ground.
There were symbols that's triangle and circle that were there.
But right where the thing was hovering, I thought there was like things carved in the wood.
I don't think so.
There wasn't?
Maybe I missed that, but I don't think so.
But you're probably right. It was probably.
I think it was just this is no, and then that's yes, and then it did the weird infinity symbol.
So does the infinity symbol in that kind of practice is like a swing yes? Because I thought it was like yes and no, right? And then like unsure.
Circle is like maybe, yeah.
But then this.
Yeah, I mean it's just all over the place.
Some of you.
Maybe it's like dependent.
We know that 4 of them live, 5
exactly,
of them live
so like,
for sure.
Like it's unclear, right? Where if they, depending on how much blood they
maybe
spill.
It wasn't 8. Maybe 8 of you will die. How many are there? Because they say, oh, it's an 8, and you're like, no, it's an infinity symbol. If it was an 8, how many are out there? If there's 13 and 5 live, then 8 die.
Yeah.
Right? Or if there's 7 of them, then you can count her baby as one of them as well. You know, because even if the 8 does end up being it, and then they're like, oh, see, 8 of them died, and then at the end of this, we figure out that one of them's still alive, and then we find out her baby died, and it's like, oh no, one's still alive.
Right.
You just counted wrong because you forgot.
About the baby.
I don't know, I'm just guessing.
No, I think that's really cool. That would be a really, like, nice twist, because you're thinking, oh, it's infinity, like, what does that mean? But the 8, like, just literally, like, 8 of you are going to die. That's cool. I like that a lot.
We shall see. 8 of you have to die to appease me, and once you do, I'll let people know where you're at, and then they can come save you.
Yeah.
I'll get my alien buddies.
That's a beaming up their alien buddies.
To send a phone call to the police station. Taissa sleeps in the attic, to which Shauna goes and joins her so she doesn't feel alone. This is where she confronts her about the pregnancy. Don't tell anybody. A lot of secrets going on in this one. I was thinking, like, if they're the ones that go and sleep in the attic, she's the one that's, like, seeing animals, and Shauna's the one that's out killing animals. You know, she's the one that's killing freaking bunnies in the yard and whatever. And then, but I don't think there's, like, the night they spent up there did something to them.
Maybe.
You know? Maybe they're 2 of the people who survived.
Yes.
Right? What if it would have been very interesting had, you know, she went up there, then, you know, the remaining Natalie and Misty and Travis followed suit and came up there, and they're the 5 that slept up there, and they're the 5 that survived.
That would have been really
cool.
Neat, yeah.
But that's not what happens. We get 2, but the 2 that do go up there are the ones that do survive for sure. So
yeah.
Could be nothing, but
maybe they're affected though.
Maybe. And then they get a text that reads something around, along the lines of like $50,000. Don't tell your teammates. This seems funny to me because it's like, I will know if you tell anybody.
But they're right.
Okay. Yeah, you'll know. Let's think about this for a second here. This person is acting like they have some big brother watch over their lives right now, and if you tell anyone else, they're gonna know about it. Now, this could just be that hacker guy who's pissed off that they're gonna burn his dick. But okay, Taissa and Natalie are together when that text is sent. Don't tell your teammates. They're already together. A. B. Misty is watching on this little freaking incense thing that she gave to Natalie as a gift. She's in the room hearing about it right there. So she's looking at a computer screen, looking at them fucking getting the text together.
Yeah.
You know, so if he's watching them all, especially if he's like hacking their computers and whatever, he's going to see that he's watching that, so they're going to know. And then they immediately call Shauna, and she's like, "Oh, I already know that he's dead." So they immediately call. So they've already all communicated.
Yes.
And this person,
like
I don't know,
minutes.
maybe this person does know, and what their threat is, I don't even really know.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's just funny to me. They're like, "I'll know." Will you?
Yeah.
Will you? Because they all were fucking kind of like together in that moment. Like Misty was there without them knowing it, and Shauna was on the phone. So the 4 remaining survivors are all talking in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. I definitely got the impression that it could have been Misty that sent the text message.
Sure, because she doesn't look at her phone.
She doesn't look at her phone, and she sort of, she's eating popcorn while she's watching them, like, and she's all into, like, true crime and, like, being a little detective, and I feel like she's really enjoying the mystery of it all and, like, setting this whole, intricate thing up. I don't put past her. But, yeah, it is very silly that it's, like, don't tell your teammates, and they're, within 5 minutes, everyone that we know knows.
5 minutes, 5 seconds.
Yes.
Misty is very unhappy with Natalie's remarks towards her.
Yes. Which is kind of also funny to me because Natalie doesn't really hide that she doesn't like Misty.
Not at all.
I mean, she's supposed to be sarcastic and just kind of bitchy in general, so I can see Misty, like, putting it up to, that kind of thing.
Chalking it up
to that, but she's, like, really pissed off when Natalie says the stuff about her. Poodle-haired bitch or whatever she calls her, and she's just like,
conniving little bitch, yeah.
She's so upset by it, so,
Yeah. So, well,
yeah.
that's it. I mean, I
That's
think we wildly speculated here on a bunch of things. Where we'll be in the next episode, obviously we don't know, but we're gonna start to get some revelations. We're 5 episodes into 10, probably. I would assume most seasons are 10 episodes, so we're halfway in. Yeah. Suspect Adam is suspect. Whether he's super high key sus. Whether or not he's related to anybody, I don't know. Whether he might be there of his own accord. He might not be. He might be a red herring. I don't know. But the woman in the tree is one of the girls who survived, or one of the girls that we know about. Taissa could be Taissa. She could be like in the fucking tree as her own self, but like the bad version of her. We talked about this, how this could just be her alternate personality, that she's got a split personality basically going on. And he's like, "Oh no, you're not the bad one. Your other half is
the bad one." Yeah.
So, and by other half, I don't mean her wife, although that could be a possibility too. I don't think
She's
so.
on the trees.
But as I said, I'm going with Jackie or Lottie.
Or alien demons.
Because I'm going to go with Lottie. She's still possessed. She becomes possessed throughout this. Jackie dies in that pit, and she's haunting Shauna, maybe quite literally. But we'll see. You got any other guesses?
Alien demons.
Alien demons.
Maybe.
Write it down.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, tell us what you think, and we'll see you next week. Bye!